After a relatively quiet stretch, Volair is back with the Shift series, and this is one of the most interesting paddle platforms I've played. This isn't a cosmetic update or a light iteration. The Shift represents a ground-up rethink of how a foam-based paddle can be constructed. Engineered internal structure, perimeter support, and a playing field designed to avoid that overly muted, sensation-killing foam vibe that's become too common. Full disclosure, Volair sent me these paddles to test with no strings attached. No money changed hands, I'm not obligated to say anything, and these are my honest impressions. They retail for $189, but you can grab them for less with code NPB, which helps support this channel and website. The Shifts launch in three shapes: widebody, hybrid, and elongated, all at 14 millimeters. And before we get into how they play, I need to talk about how these look, because Volair absolutely nailed it. The Shift line has some of the best aesthetics I've seen. Every model uses a black face with surface graphics that visually map the internal channel structure underneath. So the tech is literally part of the design language. It looks engineered, deliberate, and modern without being over the top. But the signature move is the two-tone edge treatment. Each shape comes in multiple colorways: blue and white, purple and pink, red with Dylan Fraser signature, yellow and light blue for the hybrid, neon green and blue. These aren't random loud colors. They're high contrast, deliberate, and they frame the face in a way that makes these paddles stand out on the court. In a sea of monochrome foam builds, some boring, some loud, the Shift has visual presence. The Shift uses a two-piece foam core with routed internal channels. Volair describes this as a patent-pending full foam floating core with engineered flex. The internal channels function as flex zones that expand and contract during contact. Before final assembly, the two foam halves are thermoformed together as a single unit, which is designed to prevent the internal separation issues you see in some layered core designs. Around that core sits EVA perimeter foam, but not in a full ring. Volair calls this a peninsula design. The perimeter stops before the throat, letting the core remain connected into the handle area. The stated intent is preserving feedback while still improving support and forgiveness. There's also a carbon-infused edge foam around the outside that's denser and stiffer than typical perimeter foam. This creates a more rigid frame around a more compliant interior. And the face uses T700 carbon fiber with a 4-layer carbon layup. All three shapes use the same construction and materials. They only differ in geometry. And all three are 14 millimeters with no alternate thickness options at launch. The wide body came in at 8.1 ounces with a swing weight of 105.5 and a twist weight of 7.2. Balance point sits at 23.4 centimeters. That 105.5 swing weight makes this the fastest swinging paddle in the lineup by a wide margin, and the 7.2 twist weight is the highest in the series, most forgiving platform stock. The hybrid measured 8.2 ounces with a swing weight of 117.1 and a twist weight of 6.85, balance point at 24.4 centimeters. Most balanced option, not too head light, not too head heavy. This hybrid shape is heavier to swing than 76% of the other 116 hybrid paddles in my database. Check out the full breakdown at mattspickleball.com and search for the Shift. The elongated came in at 8.2 ounces with a swing weight of 119 and a twist weight of 6.29. Balance point at 24.7 centimeters. Lowest twist weight, highest balance point. More leverage on full swings, but also more sensitivity to miss hits. Performance data shows serve speeds across all three shapes are nearly identical: 60.4 to 60.6 miles per hour. These are solidly above average power numbers. Punch volley speeds show more separation. The wide body hits 39.2 miles per hour at the 88th percentile. The hybrid comes in at 39.1 miles per hour at the 84th percentile. The elongated measures 38.9 miles per hour, 78th percentile. That wide body pop number is legitimately high. A note on those percentiles: look, it's all subjective measurements. A fraction of a mile per hour difference, hardly anything. Spin sits between 2,277 and 2,289 RPM across the lineup, landing between the 77th to 85th percentile, above average though not exceptional. Firepower scores are 80 for the wide body, 81 for the hybrid, and 80 for the elongated. Firepower is very good across the board. The Shift series delivers linear power. You swing 50, you get 50. You swing 80, you get 80. There's no surprise second gear where the same swing suddenly launches hotter. That predictability is a real strength, especially for a foam core platform. You're not fighting trampoline behavior or trying to dial back your swing to avoid launching balls long. Now, here's where things get interesting. Despite having nearly identical serve speeds, we're talking 0.2 mile per hour difference, the elongated consistently produces the heaviest ball in live play. Drives carry more pace, putaways feel heavier. Opponent blocks float more and sit up higher. That's not because it's hitting faster on the serve, it's because the mass, leverage, and balance point combine during full swings to deliver more plow through. The ball carries more momentum through contact. Pop is present across all three shapes and shows up as punchy, quick response on short strokes. The wide body has the most pop, and you feel that immediately. It's explosive on compact exchanges, counters, and speedups. But in real hand speed battles, the hybrid and elongated don't feel slower. The difference is more about how quickly the ball exits the face. The wide body has that instant punch. The hybrid and elongated have slightly more load time, but still plenty of pace. That pop also comes with a launch tendency you need to manage. These aren't dead paddles. They won't absorb pace for you on resets or soft shots. If you get lazy with your hands or you don't stay on top of the ball, it can sail. Early on, I had to adjust my timing on drops and third shots because the release is quicker than I expected. Once you adapt, it's manageable, but it's something to be aware of. Spin is fine, maybe average to slightly above average, but nothing crazy, and I don't think it's anything you'll think about during play. The feel is dense and connected. There's compression you can feel on contact. The ball loads into the face, but it doesn't stay sunk for long. The rebound snaps back quickly. This is not a plush paddle. It doesn't wrap around the ball or create that soft ball-holding sensation you get from some foam core builds. If you're used to paddles that give you that soft game assist, this will feel different. The marketing describes this as having enhanced dwell time, but I don't see it. Again though, I think dwell is slightly above average for a 14mm build. In terms of the sweet spot, I think it's shaped like a lengthwise oval longer than it is wide. Vertical forgiveness is decent, especially on the elongated paddle where contact higher on the face stays playable. But laterally, it's more precise, like you'd expect from any 14mm paddle. The wide body has a marginally wider sweet spot than the other two shapes, but it's still not a huge blanket of forgiveness. You lose spin and pace as you move away from the center, pretty standard stuff. Feedback is present, vibrations are controlled, but contact information isn't erased. You know when you've hit it clean versus when you've caught it off center. The paddle doesn't feel overly muted, disconnected, damped, or isolated, which is what Volair was going for with that peninsula perimeter design. But it doesn't exactly give you crisper feedback like those with a honeycomb core. Stability tracks closely with twist weight. The wide body is the most forgiving on mishits. That 7.2 twist weight shows up clearly on blocks and counters. The hybrid behaves exactly as the number suggests, stable for a 14mm build. The elongated is more sensitive on mishits. You feel more twisting on off-center contact, and it benefits the most from added weight. And speaking of weight, here's my honest take. All three shapes play better with some added weight. The wide body is the most playable stock, but I think it benefits from tuning. The elongated needs it most. For the elongated, I added a few grams to the lower corners, and it translates stability and plow through without killing hand speed. For the wide body and hybrid, add weight at 3 and 9 to widen the sweet spot and increase stability. You can also add it up top if you want more drive momentum. Stock they're playable, with weight, I think they play better. At $189 before code, the Shift sits in the average price foam core category. The construction is complex, the measured performance is solid, and the price reflects that. Let me give you a few comparisons. Compared to the Cyclone, the Shift is way more dense. The Cyclone plays hollow by comparison. Compared to the Enhanced Duo, the Shift is not as plush. The Duo has similar firepower, but with a softer, more absorbing feel. Compared to the 6.0 Opal, the Shift doesn't have as much raw power and lacks that springy, non-linear launch that Opal has. So yeah, these paddles are fun to play. They're well built, they look incredible, and there's real engineering thought behind the construction, but they're not for me. I prefer a crisper, poppier response, and the Shift feels dense and muted compared to what I like. The sweet spot is normal for 14mm, which means it's smaller than I'd want. And I think all three shapes need weight to feel fully dialed, and I also don't think 90% of the market is interested in tuning your paddles. But a lot of people are going to love this line. If you want measured power without springy, non-linear launch, these deliver. If you value a dense, connected feel over hollow or overly plush options, this is it. If you're willing to add weight to unlock the platform and you prefer 14mm response characteristics, quick hands, faster rebounds, the Shift makes a lot of sense. The construction is unique. The aesthetics are incredible. Volair nailed the design in a way that no other brand has done recently, and the performance is solid across the board. So while these aren't going to be my main paddles, they might be yours. If you value linear power, dense feel, and unique construction, and you're willing to tune with some weight, the Shift delivers, and they look absolutely sick doing it. So that's it. That's the Volair Shift review. Would you add weight to unlock a paddle's potential, or do you prefer paddles that play their best stock? Let me know in the comments. Remember, you can grab these for a discount with code MPB. If this was helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.